It's another day. Left jab, right jab. This is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim? Looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting. If you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go. I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
We got a big heavyweight fight going down in the main event this upcoming Saturday. Curtis Blaydes taking on Derrick, the Black Beast Lewis. I think this is an excellent stylistic matchup. I'm sure a lot of you guys agree with me. It seems to be a striking versus a grappler matchup here. I think Curtis Blaydes is going to want to get this down to the mat and wear Lewis out. And obviously, if Lewis can stuff some takedowns and start making this a brawl, you guys know how Lewis does it. So we'll be getting to the main event here relatively soon. And we've got some other things we got to talk about. And, of course, that being the card that just took place this past Saturday. We had 2 flyweight titles on the line. No further ado, let's get into this card here. In the first fight, we had Sasha Palatnikov with the major upset over Luis Kosi. You guys know, pretty much everybody was on Kosi here. And I still stand behind that pick, man. I thought Kosi was going to come in there and handle business. I thought Kosi looked very good in the first round, but it actually did look like he kind of gassed out in that fight. I'm not going to say that necessarily that means that he has a bad gas tank, because the output that he was putting in that first round was crazy. But I will say that that was a little bit of a mistake on my part, thinking that his brother showed to have great cardio in his fight on Dana White's Contender Series. I assumed that he would, but again, very, very high output in that first round. It was pretty much fight of the night, and he did start to gas out, and Sasha showed to have the better gas tank there. And we'll keep an eye on Sasha moving forward. That was an excellent performance by him. He showed that he's extremely tough, and hung around and got that finish in the third round. So again, show me one person that picked him to win the fight, though. In the next fight, Kyle Daukaus, big shout out to Kyle Daukaus, showed up, took out Dustin Stoltzfus. It wasn't the most entertaining fight, but at the end of the day, Kyle really showed to be the much superior fighter there. Alan Jouban took care of Jared Gooden, almost got that guillotine to end the fight with seconds left. That was cool to see Jouban go in there and still look sharp. Alan Jouban juggles a lot of things in and outside the octagon. And was cool to see him go in there and take out another potential contender. And of course, Jouban being the gatekeeper that he is, good luck getting through him. Now we start talking some action here. We're starting to talk plays right now. Nicholas Dalby defeats Daniel Rodriguez. A lot of you guys know that follow me on Instagram. This was my first play. I had a small 1-unit play of Nicholas Dalby, but got him at great odds. Got him at plus 260 and even as high as plus 265. So that right there was a good amount of money coming in for me. Personally, I thought that Dalby completely controlled this fight. I know some of you guys are going to be upset that I'm saying this because I've heard mixed reviews on this fight. I do think the commentary was very biased, and they were all kind of talking as though Daniel Rodriguez was winning the fight. Besides Daniel Cormier, because he started to kind of talk about what his thoughts were on the fight going into the third round, and he kind of differed with some of the other guys there on the on the show there, or on the live fight broadcast. And I kind of agreed with what he was saying. I thought Dalby was in control of that fight, or at the very least it was a very close fight. So Daniel Rodriguez had to go out there and definitely try to take that third round, or there was no saying who was going to win the fight. I just liked the way that Nicholas Dalby was lighter on his feet. He was throwing a lot of heavy kicks and just seemed to be landing the cleaner, more powerful shots. Although Daniel Rodriguez had his moments, he was looking slick out there. Daniel Rodriguez was on the back foot for the most part, did stuff a lot of takedowns, but again, Dalby's the one that's going in for the takedowns. He's the one that was kind of looking like to be the aggressor. And I just thought that he did enough to win that fight. I thought he easily won the first and the third. And really, I think he could have won every round. And that was a unanimous decision. 2 judges gave it 30-27. 1 judge gave 1 round to D-Rod. So I know a lot of you guys will be upset with that. I think it was a close fight. I think there was some biased commentary that swayed a lot of people from what they were watching to what they thought was going on in that fight. But that's just how I thought about it, or what I thought about it. In the next fight, we had Antonina Shevchenko, one of the Shevchenko sisters who both were victorious. So this was the first victorious Shevchenko sister. Took out Ariane Lipski. I had a small play here as well on Ariane Lipski, very small. And I thought that Lipski would be able to hold her own on the feet, which I think she showed that she could. She hit Antonina with some nasty shots there on the limited time it was on the feet. And I gave the edge to Lipski on the ground. I thought that her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu would have been better than Shevchenko's, and I thought she would have held her own. We've seen Antonina go in there and completely flop on the ground. That was not the case, though. All of a sudden, Antonina looks so competent on the mat. She actually looked very good in there. She ended up getting the finish in the second round with some ground and pound. Completely stifled Lipski on the mat. Sometimes, it's puzzling, to see what happens with the fight game sometimes. Shevchenko, a girl that's looked so incompetent on the mat, all of a sudden, really, really growing with her game. Of course, her sister's an amazing fighter, so maybe she's been learning, taking MMA very seriously, but I was not expecting that. So a little disappointed I didn't get that win there. But again, we're rolling with dogs here, so there was some value, and I went after these plays. And again, overall, it was a profitable night, okay? And a very profitable week. Talk about the entire week here. In the next fight, we had Buckley versus Wright. Buckley, I had him in a 5-unit parlay, and this was one of 2 legs. As you guys know, also that follow me on Instagram, the other leg that I had was on the Bellator card. That it was a fight that I felt you guys should have all been on. That was the Joey Davis fight. Joey Davis, a guy, keep an eye on that guy, Joey Davis. Big time wrestling credentials. It was a complete mismatch. His opponent was not going to win that fight, this guy Bobby Lee. So I had to jump on that play right there and capitalize and put some money in my pocket. I had Buckley all day. I saw a lot of people talking about, oh, Buckley, he's riding high, and a lot of hype from that kick that he had. That's not why I attacked him at all. The reason why I attacked him in this spot here was everything that he did in that Impa fight, even leading up to it before the knockout. What he did with his hands. If you watch the way he boxes and whatnot, excuse me, guys, fantasy football going on. But what I saw in that fight before the spinning back karate style kick to Impa's chin, before that was so impressive. The way he was styling on Impa on the feet, you could see his hands are legit. He was holding his own with Kevin Holland in his UFC debut as well before he got clipped. I just think that this guy's a dangerous fighter. Jordan Wright, on the other hand, has that more traditional karate style, and I'm just not the biggest believer in that style. And it works for some guys, of course, Wonder Boy and whatnot, but in this particular matchup, I thought the way to go was take Buckley in a parlay or even take him as a prop to finish the fight in the first round or second round. So that was the way to go with that fight, and I hit it on the money there. So it just kind of reminded me of Jordan Wright's fight on Dana White's Contender Series where he got starched by Fluffy Hernandez, and I think Buckley's a way more dangerous striker with his hands, and stylistically I'm going to take the aggressive boxer over the karate style guy with his hands down all day in that matchup. So that was Buckley's fight, I'm telling you guys. And the next fight, so that capitalized a 5-unit parlay that I got down to around minus 142. So some good money coming back as well. And also I did attack Buckley straight up as the line dropped, got him as low as minus 210. So, action right there, man. In the next fight, I had another small play in an underdog. So I hit one of my 3 stabs at these dogs. I did have a stab on Brandon Royval. You guys know what happened, man. His shoulder popped out. Brandon Moreno was looking good in that fight, though. Brandon Moreno was pretty much controlling it. But I hope you guys saw what I saw, too, man. Royval is a dog. Super aggressive in there. And that's a guy keep an eye on. And I would have took him in that spot again. Even right now, I'd take him in that spot again. I wanted to see that fight play out. Royval was threatening from all sorts of positions. I think the guy is an absolute stud. And again, like I said, I'll be targeting him moving forward if you guys are going to keep giving me those dog lines on him. All right. And the next fight, we had Paul Craig. He took out Shogun Rua. Might be the last time we see Shogun inside the octagon or in any MMA bout for that matter. I think that would be the right decision if he were to hang up the gloves. Paul Craig, has actually a very nice takedown. He gets in on the hips. He gets that nice double leg, or gets in on the hips and he goes right into guard. Pulls that on a lot of guys. The jiu-jitsu is very much there. Striking is not there, but against a guy like Shogun, he could still land here and there. And looking back, I should have made that an official play. I hesitated on that, and a little bit of a regret of mine. Then we had Chukagian, took out Cynthia Calvillo. And that was a fight that Chookagian just really looked very good. It played out perfectly for her. Fight pretty much stayed on the feet the entire time, and she was able to style on Cynthia. A big win for Chookagian. Now we had Tim Means. Tim Means takes out Mike Perry. This was a fight, as a lot of you guys know, man, I was really hoping for Tim Means to go out there and put a whooping on Perry. I do like Perry as well, but you guys know what I think about him. I think he's a little bit of a clown. Came in overweight, completely disrespected Means. He was sending him DMs on Instagram of him eating burgers and whatnot, completely disrespected him. But you guys saw what happened. Tim Means went out there and styled on Perry. I told you guys the reach advantage and the straight punches that Means was going to throw would be plenty enough to win a decision against Perry and really be enough to inflict some damage. The one thing I was worried about was Perry, clipping him with the shot and knocking him out. Because sometimes Means gets aggressive. He brings the fight, and Perry has crazy power, as you saw. And Perry's as tough as nails. So, big win for Tim Means. I like to see that he's getting some recognition. It was great to see the broadcast talking about everything that he's been doing over his career. Big shout out to Tim Means, and I'm sure he'll have a big fight, moving forward as he nears the end of his career, as he does get up there in age. But he'll get some big fights, and he'll take it as far as he can go until he loses. So now we had the co-main event. Now we got gold on the line here. Valentina Shevchenko. She takes out Jennifer Maia. I definitely want to talk about something here. After the first round, it was after the second round, the line dropped all the way to -300 on the live bet for Shevchenko. I definitely threw a good amount of money, on Bovada online, one of the online websites I use, threw a bunch on her right there, capitalized, put a little bit of money in my pocket. Of course, -300, not the best line, but to get Valentina Shevchenko against Jennifer Maia at -300, just because she got taken down, held against the cage a little bit, stifled a little bit in that one round, I was completely cool with that. I felt very confident that she was going to come back, and get things under control and win that fight. So that was good to see too. Other than that, though, the line was just ridiculous. It was way too high. Jennifer Maia did show to be a very tough fighter, and I wasn't touching -1800, -1400 and whatnot. But Valentina Shevchenko, again, only loses one round, dominates the other four, and is still the reigning champ. Now in the flyweight championship bout, we had Davison Figuero taking on Alex Perez. I was a little bit disappointed in this fight. I don't know if you guys felt the same way I did. The fight was looking to be a fight that was starting to pick up. For the limited time it lasted, it was starting to pick up, and it seemed to be a fight that was going to be very entertaining. Alex Perez grabbing Figueroa's leg, tripped him down, and Alex Perez looking aggressive on the feet as well, and made a mental error in there, stuck his neck and Figueroa's under his arms, and got caught in a guillotine choke as they were kind of playing around. And I think Perez was he took him down. He was flirting with danger. He kind of tried to maybe get back to his feet there for a second. He was kind of trying to turn over, and before he could even try to stand up, Figueroa was grabbing a neck. And Figueroa was nasty with the jiu-jitsu. And I was actually pretty surprised he got that sub. I felt like Perez's head was kind of starting to peek out, and I was a little surprised that he didn't really continue to push down on the hand and try to pop that head out the back, get it out of the arm. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, so I'm not judging, but it's a big title shot you have right there. I would have liked to seen Alex Perez go out in a shield, but then again, man, when you're getting choked like that and you feel it and you're starting to get cloudy and you're about to go unconscious, it's easier said from my point of view than being in there. I'm sure Alex Perez obviously, was about to go unconscious. That's what he felt, so he had a tap right there. So that does sum up, the card that we had this past weekend. And again, another profitable event. And for the week also hit that AJ McKee line, grabbed it very low, grabbed it as low as -210, -230, way before the line blew up. I was all over that AJ McKee play. Shout out to AJ McKee, who took out Darian Caldwell Thursday night. So again, a very profitable event. My 2 5-unit plays cashed, and hit the 1 unit stab on Nicholas Dalby at great odds, +265, +260. And then I lost a couple small dog stabs, but overall a very profitable weekend for me. So I'm happy over here. All right, that's going to sum up this past card, and then you guys know what time it is. Time to get into this weekend's card. So UFC Vegas 15, here we go, boys. We'll slide right down to the bottom of this fight card. We'll start with the first fight. We got Kai Kamaka III taking on Jonathan Pearce. As a lot of you guys know, I had Kai Kamaka on MMA Live Discussion a couple weeks back. It was a very, very enjoyable show for me. It was very enjoyable talking to him. In my opinion, this is one of the the top prospects coming out of Hawaii, and a guy that really has the potential to put Hawaii on his back. And, of course, we got Max Holloway still, but, thinking of the days of BJ Penn in his prime, the Hawaiians don't mess around, man. Some really tough guys. He's only 25 years old, and this is a guy that's a lifelong mixed martial artist. He grew up around MMA. His uncle was a professional fighter. I mean, he's all involved in his father. Some really cool stories. I'm telling you guys, if you want to check out the show, man, he was talking about some cool stories, man, being a little kid involved in MMA, going to all types of big fight shows in Hawaii and whatnot. And just a real class act, and a guy that's just, he's just straight up MMA. That's what his life consists of. He has a one-track mind. He's completely professional. This isn't the type of guy that's going to be distracted with other things. And again, that's what's cool about having the show MMA Live Discussion, where I'm able to talk to some of these guys. It really gives me insight on them, going into these fights as far as betting and whatnot. So Kai Kamaka for sure is a very professional fighter. No distractions going on there. Jonathan Pearce, JSP, coming off a tough loss after an impressive victory on Dana White's Contender Series. Didn't look so good in his fight against Joe Lozon. And Joe Lozon is not really going out there finishing everybody nowadays, and he did finish JSP there. So not a good look for JSP. JSP is a tough customer. This is a guy he's crafty on the mat. You could see him get the fight down to the mat. We see him flatten a lot of guys out, throughout the beginning of his career, and finish a lot of guys down there. So good ground game. He's okay in the feet, not really super impressive on the feet, in my opinion. I give the edge to Kai Kamaka on the feet for sure. And there's me and Kai talking. Oh, we got to add, of course. Hold on. Go to JSP in the meantime. We'll jump back to that. But yeah, here we go. We got these guys sized up. Kai Kamaka, definitely give the edge to Kai Kamaka on the feet. That's my opinion on that. I think Kai Kamaka really holds his own on the feet. And, he's strong with his grappling as well. This is a guy that, Kai Kamaka can definitely get some takedowns. He can work some ground and pound. He's really a well-rounded fighter, man. I'm telling you guys, a very well-rounded fighter. And he's legit, man. He's legit. This guy has a lot of potential. His last fight was a very entertaining fight. We saw that fight. That was against the karate-style fighter, Tony Kelly. They really went to war. I think that was fight of the night. So Tony Kelly is dangerous on his feet. But as you saw, Kai Kamaka, when things were getting hairy in there, Kai Kamaka was able to get the fight down to the mat, control him a little bit, and make the fight look good for him on the scorecards. But again, Jonathan Pearce is very, very capable down there in the mat as well. So I think this has all the makings to be a very entertaining fight. I think these guys are going to straight up go to war. I think Kai Kamaka is just the better fighter. I think he's the better fighter. On the feet, of course, like I said, I think that Kai Kamaka will be able to be a little bit stronger in the grappling exchanges. I could see Kai Kamaka getting some takedowns and getting inside Jonathan Pearce's guard and whatnot, working some ground and pound. But again, if you want to watch out for Pearce here, maybe it just ends up being a dog fight and Pearce is able to land some nice shots himself. Maybe he hurts Kai Kamaka and could, work his ground game, which when he's in control, when he's taking the back and when he's doing whatever he's doing, he's kind of skilled there. That's where he kind of does his thing. So, he doesn't want to let Kai Kamaka dictate the groundwork there. But I'm taking Kai Kamaka all day. The line is very high, creeping up on a minus 400 right now. And, that's kind of high for a guy that likes to get involved in dogfights in Kai Kamaka. But Kai Kamaka, the superior fighter, I'm definitely pulling for him here. I think he gets the job done. And then we'll be talking about some big fights for him down the road. So excited for that. And again, man, this is a show you definitely want to check out. This is the new wave of Hawaiian mixed martial arts, this guy right here. We got Nate Maness taking on Luke Sanders. Nate Maness coming off a victory in his last fight against Johnny Munoz Jr., a guy that had a lot of hype behind him. If you guys remember that fight, Johnny Munoz is a very, very talented BJJ practitioner. Very, very talented on the mat. Nate Maness was able to stifle his takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, where he was able to box him up and win a decision there. This guy Nate Maness is a very well-rounded fighter. A lot of people talk about his grappling skills, how they have evolved, his wrestling and whatnot. But his bread and butter is his boxing. He likes to use his hands. That's his strong point. That's what he started his career off with. That was his background essentially. and tough dude, 29 years old, and taking on a guy in Luke Sanders. Luke Sanders is a guy that I really had such high hopes for back when he was making his UFC debut and whatnot, and getting victories here and there. Definitely had some mental lapses inside the octagon. When he puts it together, man, he's so explosive. He has nasty power, can knock anybody out. He's a strong wrestler. He could take dudes down. He can get in their guard where he could drop elbows and hammer fists and all that type of stuff. But it just, for whatever reason, he seems to always make these mental errors in there, and definitely drops the ball. Got heel hooked by Hanayaya. Got finished by Andre Sukumtat. Lost by a knee bar to Iri Alcantara. So a lot of mental lapses in there. But when he puts it together, man, this is a guy that can definitely handle business as well. He's coming off an impressive knockout against Renan Barao, who's obviously washed up. This is a tough fight here. This is a tough fight. I've been back and forth on this fight because if Luke Sanders shows up, man, I think that he really has some legit skills. But again, Maness is tough as well, and Maness might put Sanders in positions to make some mistakes in there. If Andre Sukumtat can knock out Luke, obviously Maness can knock him out as well. As of right now, I'm taking Luke Sanders. See how the week progresses. We'll see my official pick on Instagram by fight day. But right now, I'm taking Luke Sanders. He's coming off a big win, and I'm going to say that he continues, to put it together off that victory. He continues to keep things moving. And again, this is a guy that's extremely talented in Luke Sanders. So we'll see. I think he'll be a little bit stronger in the clinch and whatnot, can kind of control the clinch work and whatnot, and maybe he lands a heavy shot. But Maness is no joke. Again, I'm really much on the fence with this fight. So, again, you might see me swap that over to Nate Maness as the week progresses. I like Nate too, man. It's a very close fight. And the line shows that. This is a pick'em fight all day, man. You're flipping coins with this fight, in my opinion. We'll see how the week progresses. And, one thing to take note of as well, the reach is pretty much the same, even though Luke's coming in with a 4-inch height disadvantage, which he tends to be shorter than a lot of his opponents. So nothing new for him. All right, this is a good fight here. We got Mudaerji taking on Malcolm Gordon. This guy, Su, the Chinese fighter, hasn't fought in quite some time since his win against Andre Sukumtat over a year ago. He's getting another chance to step in there. We got Malcolm Gordon, who's coming off that loss against Amir Al-Bazi. That was with a fight that he got caught in that triangle. It was a fight at the time. There were two new UFC newcomers, excuse me. And Malcolm Gordon was, not on the winning side of that fight. He's coming into this fight as a major underdog as well. And I like what I've seen from this guy, Su, in the feet. A very, very smooth southpaw striker. He's very comfortable on the feet. He'll whip the head kick up there. Expect him to be very comfortable on the feet and to be very well versed in there. He'll be mixing things up. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage here, 1-inch height advantage, nothing really there. Malcolm Gordon, this is a guy that really's been shining on the mat, throughout his career. But again, he makes his UFC debut and gets caught in a submission that actually, believe it or not, doesn't really happen that much these days. You don't see the basic triangle choke, off one's back. You don't see that submission happen that much nowadays. So to be caught in that, that wasn't a good sign from him, where he's usually submitting guys out there. This may be. I don't know if I want to simplify this fight that much, but this is kind of a striker versus grappler, but not necessarily at the same time, But I do think that Su will have the better of the striking. Malcolm Gordon, he can hold his own on the feet. I wouldn't be shocked if he's out there, throwing hands and whatnot and keeping it somewhat close. But at the end of the day, man, I think that Su will just be a little bit too much for him overall, and especially with the striking. So I'm taking Su to string off another victory here. And the line, -335. -335 for a guy that hasn't fought in over a year and just took out a guy in Andre Sukumtat, not really that impressive. And then lost to Louis Smoka and another guy here. Louis Smoka also caught him with an armbar. So, and again, Malcolm Gordon's a guy that definitely has the ability to pull off an armbar. This is a guy that's pulled off some impressive submissions throughout his career. So watch out for Gordon to maybe pull off a sub. But other than that, Su handles business. So we got another bantamweight bout taking place. We got Martin Day taking on Anderson dos Santos. Both of these guys coming off 2 losses in a row. It's been particularly tough for both these guys. You know, Martin Day, you know, this is a guy, another tough Hawaiian fighter who was about to win his last fight, in my opinion. He was pretty much controlling that fight, and then Davy Grant caught him with a nasty left hook there in the 3rd round, spoiled his party. Before that, he lost to the tough Chinese fighter, went to a split decision. But Martin Day is a guy that has good striking. You know, he's a quick, entertaining striker. He's decently well-rounded, but I say his bread and butter is his striking. Anderson dos Santos, a well-rounded fighter who's been having quite the tough time here. I believe he took that first fight short notice against Nadni Armani, who's a tough outing, a tough wrestler, and then loses his last fight against Andre Ewell. Who shout out to Andre. Andre's been putting things together too. So Anderson dos Santos is a well-rounded, capable fighter. He's coming in here as the dog in a fight that he definitely has the ability to go out there and win. Martin Day, though, is a guy, when he puts it together, I think that he is the superior striker here, and maybe slightly just a better fighter. You know, if he's able to keep this fight on the feet, I think he wins the striking exchanges. I think he can do that. I don't necessarily expect Anderson dos Santos to go out there and just overwhelm him and go out there and sub him. It's definitely possible, but Day is a competent mixed martial artist that should be able to stifle that. And I'm gonna take Day to win this fight. I think this time he avoids getting caught with a knockout. As he's winning the fight, he doesn't make a mental error in there and gets caught with a big shot or something like that. I think he's gonna be a little bit more cautious, and he'll squeak out a decision here and win the fight. Right. What do we get here? Tapology switching around the fight card on us. They're always doing that, huh? So Rachael Ostovich just got bumped up a little bit. All right, the next fight, we got Ashlee Evans-Smith taking on Norma Dumont. Ashlee Evans-Smith, you guys know the deal with her. She's been around the block for quite some time. She's a tough chick, tough as nails. Decent boxing. Not the most athletic chick, but like I said, she's a tough chick. She'll sit there and she'll box with you for 3 rounds. She's strong. Sometimes we've seen her go in there, get some takedowns, work her ground and pound as well. Took out Beck Rawlings. That was almost 3 years ago. Wow, yeah, she's slightly inactive there. It's been almost 2 years since her last fight against Andrea Lee, where she lost. And Andrea Lee has been having a tough time getting victories, even though I do think Andrea Lee is a talented fighter. But Ashlee Evans-Smith wasn't able to, get a victory there as well. So Ashlee Evans-Smith, we've seen her go in some of her fights being the bigger chick, being able to bully some of these girls, be a little bit stronger in her victories. Not so much the case here. Only has a 1-inch height advantage and a 1/2-inch reach advantage. So, Norma is a solid chick as well. And Norma is coming off that loss to Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson is a girl, the deal with her. She's potentially getting a title shot, I think. There's been some talks about that. But, Anderson's, she has potential, but, she's a big chick that has knockout power. She's a decent striker. Needs to evolve with her overall game, but she was able to go in there and take out Norma. So Norma gets another shot here. This is a fight that's definitely there for Norma to win. If Norma has her head on her shoulders, she comes in with the right mindset. She's not too discouraged from that last loss. I mean, Norma's a girl that can handle herself in the mat. She can strike. Ashlee Evans-Smith is like I said, a meat and potatoes type of fighter. She's a 6-4 professional mixed martial artist. I think Norma can go in here and she can get a victory. Although I do think that this fight's close. Norma only at 5 professional fights, really hasn't proven so much to us. But does have decent submission skills. She has 2 rear naked chokes we've seen from her. So I don't know if she goes out there and submits Ashlee Evans-Smith, though. Ashlee is decently competent on the mat. She could be able to avoid that. It's a tough fight, man. Talk about a coin flip. 2 women's fighters that are really not so much proven. Good luck backing either one of these chicks. That's the way I look at it. Ashlee Evans-Smith had it up. I bumped into her at a Titan FC event. She's funny. She was with all the chicks. She has a big crew of chicks that she chills with. Big crew of women's mixed martial artists. There they are. I don't think she was with all these girls when I saw her. She was with some other UFC fighters as well. So she definitely chills with a lot of UFC fighters. I forget who she was with at the Titan FC. That was about over a year ago at this point. And an interesting chick. All right. Yeah, as far as let me give you guys a pick. I'm slacking over here. As far as a pick goes, again, an extremely close fight. I don't know, man. Maybe Ashlee Evan Smith keeps this fight on the feet and she's able to edge out a decision there. As of right now, kind of edge Ashlee Evan Smith, but I'm telling you guys, man, this is a fight. Stay away from it. That's how I feel about this fight. Just stay away from it. I think it's a lost cause, in my opinion. All right, in the next fight, we got Rachael Ostovich taking on Gina Mazany. This is a fight. You guys know the deal. Rachael Ostovich is going to continuously get UFC bouts just based on her looks. She's 4-5 as a professional right now, coming off a submission loss to Paige Van Zandt, lost to Montana De La Rosa. Before that, she got subbed. She took out Karine Gavorgian in armbar. Lost to Barb Honchak. Barb, a crafty older women's mixed martial arts fighter, and then she took out Melinda Fabian before that. So really doesn't have any victories under her resume. This is a girl, I think you guys know the deal with Rachael. She's not really UFC level, in my opinion. I think that she's decent in some areas. I mean, she could go for takedowns. She could try to get on top of you. I mean, she's not completely incompetent in there. We saw her pull off that armbar, but like I said, she's not UFC material. Gina Mazany is hardly UFC material herself, if we're being honest. But I think that Gina Mazany, this is a girl that really has some good company. She's the girlfriend of Tim Elliott. She's around. She's been around some real professionals in the game. I believe she's been around James Krause. She's been over at Extreme Couture in the past as well. I think now she's over at Glory MMA and Fitness. She's bounced around. And she's a girl that actually, like I said, keeps good company, and she's a little bit more of a professional, in my opinion. I expect Gina to go out there and get a victory here. She's due for a victory. She is coming off that loss against Julia Avila. She's a tough chick. Before that, she had a victory over Valerie Barney. That was in King of the Cage after the UFC let her go, after she lost to Macy Chiasson. So again, she has tough in there, but these are girls that know how to fight that she's losing to. She took out Yan and Wu, the Chinese fighter. And not a lot of big names on her resume, but she's overall the more competent fighter. I think she's a little bit better on the feet. I think she could be a little bit better on the mat as well. She's going to have a nice reach advantage here as well. She's the bigger chick. And I think Gina Mazany gets a victory. And Rachael Ostovich. Let's see what we got here. I think we got something for you guys. Yeah. That'll be an entertaining fight. Gina Mazany is the pick for sure. All right, we got Bill Algeo taking on Spike Carlyle. This has Fight of the Night written all over it. Both these guys coming off extremely impressive performances. Spike Carlyle was looking like a beast in his last fight. Did fade a little bit towards the end of the fight. Billy Q ended up taking that fight. Billy Q is a guy that I'm very high on. You guys know that. Billy Q is legit. Bill Algeo was a guy I did pick to win in his last fight as an underdog against Ricardo Lamas, as quite the big underdog. I think after that fight played out, you guys saw what I saw. I mean, that was a fight that could have went either way at moments in time. Bill Algeo did kind of gas out in there, and Ricardo was able to use his grappling. Shout out to Lamas. He won his retirement fight against Algeo. But again, Algeo, a very talented Muay Thai fighter, showed that he's competent with the grappling as well. He's a dangerous fighter. He's a good fighter. And Spike Carlyle, just an absolute animal in there. And Spike is a guy that I expect to be stronger in the clinch position and the grappling exchanges. Spike has nasty knockout power as well. We saw him finish Alon Cruz, a guy that had a lot of hype at one point in time. This is a guy that's gone in there and finished a lot of fighters, man, as you see. Finished 3 of his last victories until he lost to Billy Q, a guy that's very talented. Bill Algeo is a guy that is UFC caliber, in my opinion. I think even if he loses this fight, I think he should maybe even get another shot. I think in the right circumstance, he could pull off some victories. But again, very high hopes for Spike Carlyle. I think the Alpha Ginger is legit. I think he really proved that in his last fight. And Bill Algeo will have a 2.5-inch reach advantage. Maybe he wants to try to sit on the outside and use his Muay Thai to try to point fight. I think he should try to keep the pace a little bit slower than the last fight, because I don't want him gassing out when Spike's grabbing him and making it a dog fight. We've seen Algeo kind of gas out a little bit in there, and Spike will then be able to get takedowns and kind of dominate there. Maybe Bill should slow the pace down, try to make this a tactical striking match. But I'm on Spike all day, taking Spike Carlyle to win the fight. I mean, again, Algeo is nasty with the Muay Thai, though. You see that knee coming up the middle. But a Spike is just a whole different type of animal, man. The alpha ginger to win that fight, man. And as far as the line goes, -165. Bill coming in as a dog, a little bit lower of a dog this time. People are starting to understand he brings some real skills. But Spike Carlyle, man. I think Spike Carlyle should win that fight. But Bill Algeo is legit as well. Miguel Baeza taking on Takashi Sato. Miguel Baeza, as you guys know, was an official play of mine against Matt Brown. I think he is a very, very skilled striker. Beautiful calf kicks. He's a tactician on the feet. Very calm in there. I've been very impressed with him ever since Dana White's Contender Series. Takashi Sato, a very competent fighter. We've seen him go in there and handle business against guys like Ben Saunders. When he's supposed to win a big fight, he goes in there and he handles it. We've seen him drop the ball a couple times as well. Lost to Belal Muhammad, who's a very tough fighter. And, other than that, though, he's been about what? So he's only had 3 UFC fights. That's right. So he's 2-1 as a UFC fighter. And in his last fight, went in there and took out Jason Witt. Absolutely just destroyed Jason Witt. Jason Witt's not Miguel Baeza, though. It's going to be a different type of fight on the feet. I don't expect Sato just to go in there and drop Miguel Baeza. Definitely possible when you have 2 very skilled fighters, but I don't expect that. I expect Baeza to work the leg kicks, to be more of an athlete in there. And, training over at MMA Masters, they're legit down here in South Florida. I expect Baeza to win the fight here. That was where he finished Matt Brown. That was a hell of a fight. I expect him to go in there and handle business. But again, man, Takashi Sato is no joke. And as of recently, you've seen money has been coming in on Sato. So people are liking the opportunity to grab Sato as a decent dog here. A guy that's very, very competent in there and a very skilled fighter. And but I got Miguel Baeza. I definitely have Miguel Baeza to win that fight. All right. We got another important flyweight fight here. Amir Al-Bazi taking on Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Both these guys, in my opinion, very skilled fighters. I like these guys. More talent to the flyweight division. The flyweight division really has things going, in my opinion. This guy, Amir Al-Bazi, had a beautiful UFC debut against Malcolm Gordon. We talked about him earlier. Amir pulled off the triangle choke and showed that he's very competent on the mat. He has some very impressive jiu-jitsu skills. He's aggressive in there. He looks good on the feet as well. And like I said, a real threat to the flyweight division. Just real more potential in the division. Zhalgas coming off that loss to Julian Paiva, another very talented Brazilian fighter, flyweight fighter. Julian Paiva is a very skilled fighter, so no real shame in that loss. Before that, we've seen Zhalgas handling business, been really winning fights throughout his career. Has a victory over Tyson Nam. Zhalgas is tough with his grappling. Some good grappling skills. I think Zhalgas, he might want to try to try to get this fight down to the mat, kind of stifle Amir if he could stifle the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If he could avoid the submission, maybe, get some top positions, look good for the judges. Maybe try to use his hands, box Amir up a little bit if he can get the better of him on the feet. We see Jose Torres did take out Amir Al-Bazi. Tough fighter, Jose Shorty Torres. But other than that, it's been straight business for Amir Al-Bazi. And I'm taking Amir to win this fight. I like what I've seen from him. I like the submission skills he brings to the table. And I think that even beyond that, I think that he could hold his own on the feet. I think he can edge out a victory here. I think that he has some real potential. I think he has more potential than Zhalgas does, even though Zhalgas is legit as well. But Amir the Prince, man, this is a guy. Just keep an eye on Amir. Very, very fit, well-rounded fighter with some very superb jiu-jitsu skills. And then you got this guy over here, man. A lot of people from this part of the world are really making names for themselves. as we see, man, these guys are no jokes. These guys are tough, tough guys. So, representing Kazakhstan. A tough Kazakh fighter, man. We got a big Kazakh boxer, right? Triple G. They're tough dudes. Again, though, Amir Al-Bazi to win the fight. I like Amir there. All right, we got the heavyweights throwing down on the main card. It's not the main event, but we got another main event bout. Excuse me, we got another heavyweight bout. Josh Parisian taking on Parker Porter. Josh Parisian, very, very tough, well-rounded fighter. I like his grappling skills. Definitely can finish the fight. You saw that he finished Chad Johnson there in the Contender Series. Finished him on the mat there with his hands. This guy's look good. He's a tough dude. Believe he actually fought. He fought over in Aries. Believe he actually. I think he fought on Dana White's Contender Series twice, if I remember correctly. Yes, he did. Way back in 2018 against Greg Rebello. So he won on Dana White's Contender Series twice, and now he's getting his opportunity. I think it's well deserved. Taking on a guy in Parker Porter who just got finished by my boy Chris Daukaus. You guys know Chris Daukaus is showing to be a very talented fighter. Parker Porter needs to lose some weight. I think he needs to be a little bit more professional in there. But I think that Parker Porter does carry some power. I seen him throwing some bombs in there. He was whiffing and whatnot, but there's some power behind those punches. If he hits anybody, he could put anybody out in the division. I do believe that, so I'll state that for the record. But I think Josh Parisian's just a more skilled fighter here. Minus 225. I think that Josh Parisian could use his grappling. I think he could use his striking as well. He's a little bit more polished on the feet. I think he could win this fight in a variety of ways, and I feel a lot more comfortable rolling with Josh than Parker Porter, a guy that really needs to prove himself to me and maybe even come into the weigh-ins a little bit lighter in weight, in my opinion. That would be a big thing for Porter. Maybe take your diet a little bit more serious, and then this is a guy that we'll keep on our radar a little bit more so. But as of now, I can't buy it. Carrying way too much extra weight, man. That's soft weight there. So we'll see how he performs in the later rounds, if it even goes there. Against a guy that is refined, man, a professional dude here. Good grappling skills. All right, co-main event. We got Anthony Smith taking on Devin Clark. You guys know Devin Clark is coming off a nice victory for himself. He was able to take out Alonzo Menafield, get it out of the first round, and showed that Alonzo Menafield is not really the fighter that he is in the first round and in the later rounds. Great game plan by Devin Clark. You guys know Devin Clark brings some legit wrestling. He's a guy. I like to refer to him as an ox. He reminds me of like an ox. I think he has a tattoo with some type of deer antlers or some moose antlers, and I think that kind of fits his style, man. He's a tough dude. He's in your face. He'll throw power shots, and then he'll clinch against you. He'll go for takedowns. He's a tough dude. Good fighter. He's a solid fighter who's been perennially, how do I say that word, man? Perennially underrated, in my opinion. A lot of times he goes into these fights as a decent dog. He goes in there, and again, he's coming into this fight as a dog, but it's understandable against Anthony Smith. But he goes in there constantly disrespected with his line, and I think that people sleep on the skills that he brings to the table. This guy is a legit wrestler that has power in his hands, so he can give a lot of guys trouble in there. Anthony Smith is a guy that I could see him giving trouble to, because even though I think Anthony Smith is the much more skilled fighter on the feet with the striking and whatnot, Anthony Smith is a guy that's really been going through some trouble as of recently. We know what happened to him in the Glover Teixeira fight, where he got brutalized and then got whooped up by Alexander Rakic. Two very, very skilled fighters, two guys at the top of the division. But nevertheless, put a lot of damage on him. And he kind of faded in those fights as the fights went on, too. Devin Clark can maybe drag him to those later rounds, the second, third round, and start to take him down and work that ground and pound. But other than that, Anthony Smith could definitely style on Devin Clark on the feet if he's able to pace himself. If he doesn't, get washed up in there, Anthony Smith should be able to be the more skilled fighter. And I'm going to edge Anthony Smith here. I think that he's still a little bit on another level than Devin Clark. I'll need to see Devin Clark prove to me that he's able to go in there and take out a guy like Anthony Smith before I'm jumping on that wagon. Anthony Smith should have the better of the striking. You guys know I'm a big fan of the coaching that Anthony Smith gets. I think he's going to bounce back with the victory here. way more professional fights. He's only 32 years old. Hopefully the damage that he's taken the last 2 fights doesn't affect him too much. And watch out for those later rounds where Devin Clark could possibly get some takedowns and work some ground and pound, or clip Anthony Smith with the big shot in the beginning of the fight anyway and finish him. So keep an eye on those 2 possibilities. But losing to Alexander Rakic and Glover Teixeira, no real shame. You guys know how high I am on Alexander Rakic, very high on him. And Devin Clark, excellent game plan. Speaking of his tattoo, his antlers. I think that's a moose. What do you guys think? It's a moose or something, right? All right, guys. Cruising right to the main event. I think this is the biggest fight of the card for sure, right? You got Derrick Lewis, taking on Curtis Blaydes. This is the big fight right here. Curtis Blaydes, you guys know the deal, man. I'm going to break this fight down to you guys, and I'm not going to tell you too much stuff you don't already know. Curtis Blaydes, some of the best wrestling in the heavyweight division, some of the best ground and pound. We saw him in his last fight continuously get takedowns on Alexander Volkov. Did fade a little bit towards the end of that fight, but his bread and butter is his takedowns and his ground and pound. He has some power on the feet as well. Derrick Lewis, in my opinion, is going to be the much better striker here. It's going to be much more likely to get a finish on the feet if they exchange on the feet. If Derrick Lewis is able to stuff the takedowns of Curtis Blaydes, you better watch out. I could see Curtis Blaydes being very tired, just like this, working and working for those takedowns, and Derrick Lewis getting back up to his feet and knocking Curtis Blaydes out. You've seen it time and time again with Derrick Lewis. I've underestimated him in a lot of spots, and he's proven me wrong. I'll never forget when Derrick Lewis took on that man right there, Alexander Volkov, and I had big money out in Vegas on Volkov. Volkov was completely whooping Lewis and got knocked out with seconds left on the clock. Luckily, Khabib, brought a lot of money back in, so that was a profitable event out there in Vegas. As a lot of you guys know, I was on Khabib there. Didn't go with my heart. I wanted to pick Conor, but I had to go with my brain there. But again, Derrick Lewis getting dominated in that fight. Volkov was actually really putting up, significant strike. I think that fight, he was putting up some records for significant strikes in the heavyweight division. But Lewis still gets the knockout with seconds to go. This is a 5-round fight. There's been a lot of talks about Derrick Lewis not taking his fights that serious. He says now he really is. He didn't even want to take a fight until he lost a certain amount of weight. So if that's the case, man, if he's coming in here conditioned, good luck to Curtis Blaydes, being able to control him for 5 rounds. And he ain't getting a finish. I don't see him finishing Derrick Lewis because he's probably not going to sub him. He's going to try to go for ground and pound, and good luck ground and pounding Derrick Lewis. If Lewis gets the fight back up to the feet, if he's able to stuff the takedowns, I think he lands power shots on Curtis and gets that knockout. But overall, I got to go with Curtis Blaydes here. I think that Curtis Blaydes is most likely to win a decision here. I think Curtis will get those takedowns. I think he'll be able to exhaust Derrick and he'll be able to control him enough to eke out that victory there. But I'll be rooting for Derrick Lewis here. Unless I got action one way or another, that would obviously skew who I'm rooting for. But other than that, I'm just taking Derrick Lewis. I want to root for him to win the fight. I'm a big fan of his. And he's obviously a very cool character. These are 2 legit heavyweight fighters, man. These guys are going to be, creaking the scale, man. Two big boys. Curtis Blaydes has a 1-inch reach advantage. That don't mean nothing to me. I mean, it's nothing there, obviously. It's a stylistic matchup. And I'll edge Curtis Blaydes to win that decision. All right, boys. Sums up the fight card. Hope everyone's doing good out there. What else to say, man? I think the world's going to get back to normal towards the beginning of next year, towards the middle of next year. I feel good about that. Can't wait to go to UFC events very soon. Maybe I'll fly out to Abu Dhabi. There's been some talks about them doing a live event out there where they're going to be doing all types of stuff. Have the pool parties and all that. So maybe you'll see the teller out there. Stay tuned. And other than that, you guys all have a great, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys all have a good Thanksgiving. You guys enjoy all the food and the festivities. And hope you guys are enjoying some cool weather wherever you guys are. Hopefully it's not too cold if you're way up there. And that's pretty much going to wrap up the show. Appreciate all you guys. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys. Signing out.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.